will feast on your soul! I need more time.
Everyone, Richard here, and today I'm showcasing the build I've been playing in PoE 2. As you may know, the introduction of the Abyssal Lich brought with it an exclusive ascendancy for the Lich called Abyssal Lich, which modifies some of the nodes in the tree to focus on using meaningless buffs instead of summoning them, using offerings to give you their effects instead of to the minutes, and having a sort of abyssal apparition that doubles your spell casts at the cost of power charges. For more information and an example of how the minion buffs work, you may check the video where I tested and showed all of them, which will be in the video description. What I wanted to tell you is one of the elemental spells that got reworked, in this case Incinerate, which has the ability to ignite the enemy with massive damage. It is, however, a low coverage spell itself and also a channeling. Additionally, you need to charge the spell by spending mana or other abilities. So in true PoE 2 fashion, you have some other spells to fill in the gaps. I utilized Flameblast with the wildfire support, which spreads the ignites on enemies every 1.5 seconds, and Fiery Death, which made the corpses explode and which also deal fire damage. This fire damage can also spread the ignites to other enemies, make them explode as well in sort of a chaining inferno. Apart from this, I'm using Fireball as a filler, which gives me fast search and can be used to finish trash mobs or ignite enemies to generate more fire infusion remnants. It also spends infusion remnants to do a very decent AoE clear for the spells or the supports that already has. We're using the Black Flame conversion node, which not only makes fire spells with very cool purple color, but also makes them deal and scale with chaos damage instead of fire, while retaining the ability to ignite. Since enemies, for the most part, have less chaos res than elemental, on top of the fact that we can use Wither to further increase the damage they take, this makes it, in my opinion, superior to scaling ignite as fire. Let me show you after this Xesht clear how the build functions.
Resistance. We tire. Anticipation. We watch. We wait.
Give up all hope.
We dream.
I need more mana.
The curse of a broken sun. We tire. Run. The creeping dark of unburdened thought. We that fail.
Alright, so here we have the character. We are an Abyssal Lich, and we are using Incinerate. So let me quickly go over the skills. Ignore this part since this is a work in progress that I want to implement to the build, but nothing that I made work yet because of the wand. So the first spell is Fireball. Fireball. The supports will be linked here in Temp what my order of importance is. So Arcane Surge. Basically, Arcane Surge provides mana recovery rate and increased cast speed. So I think every like 2 fireballs I get the Arcane Surge buff for 10 seconds. So I just need to do this like every few seconds. Actually, it's more than that because of the efficiency support, but you know, it's something nice to have. Then the Wildfire support for Ignite Proliferation, the Ignite support for more Flammability magnitude. I'll take this moment to talk about the way I understand how Ignite works at the moment. And let me lower the volume because I don't want to hear the clock. Right, there you go. So, what happens is Ignite, instead of chance to ignite, what you have is Flammability on the enemies. When you hit an enemy with a fire ability, you increase the Flammability meter on the enemy. So let me get into the map so you can see it. It's a debuff. It's not an element itself, but it's related to the elements that you can inflict. So you can see here this icon. So 43, it got to 100 because of the life that the enemy has is the element threshold. Flammability is closely related to the actual enemy's element threshold as well. So the more chance you have and the lower the life of the enemy, the more flammability you will inflict in one hit. And after you inflict 100 flammability, the enemy will then be ignited. As you can see there, he got the ignite because of the build up. So it depends on how high you roll on the hit and how high the spell hits itself. So you can see like a spell like Flameblast hits very hard, especially once fully charged, so it will immediately ignite, and it's a much larger ignite. So a little bit now that we're not in the hideout, so that's why we use the ignite support. It also makes them deal damage faster, which it doesn't increase the overall damage of the ignite, but the DPS that the build does. Rounding that up with efficiency, which just makes it a little bit easier to handle because Fireball is a very costly spell. However, not having efficiency would be much better to keep up the Arcane Surge buff like every 4 casts instead of 6-7. So because we're an Abyssal Lich, we're using Skeletal Cleric for a buff. As you may have seen in the showcase of the Abyssal Lich itself, this is giving me quite a chunk of energy shield recharge, so 120% energy shield recharge rate. You can see how it looks without it, 2.3k. And this is almost 4k. So almost doubling my my ES recharge, which is a very important defensive layer for the Lich itself or any ES build. Now, Incinerate, why I think mobility support is the most important one. In this game, you want to avoid damage, and usually you have the ability to use dodge roll to avoid damage. But if you're channeling, dodge roll interrupts the channeling. Now, this is bad for Incinerate because the way this spell works at the moment is, first of all, Incinerate doesn't hit. The cone just ignites enemies, and this line here says ignites enemies as though dealing fire damage. So ignite is based on the hits that the igniting spell is dealing. So because Incinerate doesn't have a hit component, it has this line that says, okay, this is the hit that needs to be calculated for the ignite. It's a decently large hit, but this line is very important. Deals 30% more damage per stage and gains a stage every 0.25 seconds with a maximum of 12 stages. So 12 stages divided by 0.25 seconds. This means that we need to constantly and uninterruptedly channel Incinerate for 3 seconds in order to start dealing the most amount of damage. And you can visually see this in the ability itself. You'll see it here. So you see the stages, and there you go. This is when we're dealing the max amount of damage. So we want to spend as much time as we can in this stage and not in the initial stage because of the damage, right? So let me quickly spend some
Out of mana.
There you go. I have the charge. So if we evade, we interrupt and we lose all the stages. So this is what it looks like without the mobility support. This is what it looks like with the mobility support. We have much more maneuverability, which means that I can, alongside temporal chains that slows the enemy's action speed, I can basically fully spend all my fuel while moving and getting the most damage out of Incinerate. After that, the next best support will definitely be Searing Flame. 100% more magnitude of Ignite. It means that I think the way this calculation works is that it will grab all the increases to the damage type that is inflicting the Ignite, and it's applying a multiplier to the final Ignite. So this will, I believe it will be double the amount of Ignite damage with 100% more magnitude of Ignite. And this will multiply all the increases, so it's the best support that you should have. Then Burgeon 2. Burgeon says that you gained 20% more damage every second spent, up to 40%. So it means after 2 seconds you gain it. Because we have to channel for at least 3 seconds, this makes perfect sense to have here, and there's nothing else that we can have here that will give us such a high multiplier. The next best thing is Concentrated Casting. Now, I tested this, and the stage gain interval is constant. It cannot be modified by cast speed. It cannot be modified by like duration or anything, so it will always be 3 seconds. So for these spells, cast speed doesn't really matter, because as long as we're channeling the ability, the Ignite is constantly being applied. So I don't know if it has like a tick rate. Let's see. Yeah, 0.19 seconds. So I think this is the tick rate of the Ignite. You can modify this by getting more cast speed, but I think it's very negligible. And the duration of Ignite is almost 3 seconds. So getting like a smaller interval, I don't think it really matters, unless we have like some way of increasing like our max range, which will make us fish for like bigger Ignites. But I think consider casting is like the best thing to have here, and the second best, it will be Concentrated Area because it's 30% more damage. The quality is very good because it increases the Ignite magnitude as well. Now, you may have seen that this has like a charge period. Whenever I spend mana, I gain some charges, and then you have a few seconds of fuel with the spell, and after you deplete it, you can no longer use it, and you have to spend mana again. So a very good way of doing this is like the curse spends a lot of mana, but we can also use Flameblast, and while we're channeling Flameblast, you can see how fast it gives us the fuel. So let's look at Flameblast. Flameblast got changed compared to like the previous version. It now has a cooldown of, I think it starts 15 seconds to start with. It has a very high hit, and it gets 75% more damage per stage up to 10 stages, so 750 more damage. Quite a massive hit. And the modifiers to cast speed also increases the skill cost, so the faster you cast the ability, the more mana it will consume, which in this case really works well for us because of the Incinerate. And it gains radius per stage, so you can see that it grows larger up to 10, and then you can release it then. So what we're doing here is cooldown recovery speed is the most important one, of course, because we want to use this in every pack if possible. Right now it's not entirely possible because there is, with the sources of cooldown recovery that I have, which are, you know, the most immediately available, but it's every 7.98 seconds, so a little bit less than half its initial cooldown. So I think it's very manageable at that point, and we can use Fireball as a filler spell to clear. Then we're using Fiery Death, so enemies that are ignited by this skill have a chance to explode. What this looks like is a corpse on the ground just explodes, and that itself deals fire damage, which itself can ignite, and then that ignite can be spread. So both the Incinerate Ignite and the Explosion Ignite can be spread to enemies. Then we're doing Ignite 3 for more chance to ignite, so Flammability is basically chance to ignite, and Searing Flame for the damage to deal even more ignite damage. Now, Blasphemy is, I think, very good on, not only on Lich, but in any caster build that you want to play. So if you can afford spending the spirit to do temporal chains, you can see how easy it is for me to not get hit at all by enemies. And I failed to record the Simulacrum, but I will record the Simulacrum 3 at some point and have it in a separate video. But in Simulacrum is very good because you get overwhelmed by enemies, but because of the magnitude of the curse that we are applying on these guys, I don't think they can kill me. At least not this small of a pack, because they cannot hit me fast enough. And then this also gives me the chance to like do a fully channeled Flame Blast on their face. That also means that we don't have to worry too much about stuns as any other caster builds because we're not getting hit at all. So Blasphemy is linked with Temporal Chains, Hidden Curse for more magnitude, and then Slow Potency. The Slow Potency, so Temporal Chains applies a slow. So both action speed and like attack speed, movement speed, and cast speed. And then Slow Potency increases that. Then we're doing Ritualistic Curse for the increased area. As you can see, basically anything that you can see on screen for the most part is affected by the curse at the moment. So very nice. Then the Dialla's Desire. This is an extremely expensive support. I only have this because I dropped it, but I wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise. It's like it's in divines. It's 28 divines. But if you can afford it, definitely do so because it increases like the reservation efficiency or or it applies a negative multiplier to cost and reservation. So instead of 109%, so 10% less cost and reservation. It also gives +1 to supported skill gems and 10% to quality of support. So it's giving quality to both Temp chains, and in this case not to Blasphemy itself, but it does affect the reservation of Blasphemy. As you can see, without it I cannot reserve it, but with it I can. Then Siphon Elements, I only recently added this after not using it for a while, but I think because we actually have 3 spells that can use Infusion Remnants, the most important being Incinerate. And what this looks like is, let me see, generate. If I could generate, add 1 of them.
Oh, out of mana.
No remnant there. Oh, there you go. I had one. So when we have the Infusion Remnant, Incinerate will leave a burning, like a burning ground. And the burning ground itself deals damage based on the Incinerate stage that you were at when generating the burning grounds. So that means that we can channel Incinerate for like 3 seconds and then leave that burning ground constantly incinerating or igniting enemies. We also have Firestorm. The Fire Infusion makes it go faster. And Firestorm is basically a support skill. So Siphon Elements is linked with Cold Mastery and Mysticism. So before that, I had the Storm Mage granted me spell damage, but you know, every Storm Mage is 40. Right now with the efficiency that I have is 33 Spirit per Storm Mage, which is 25% increased spell damage. So for 60 Spirit, I get 50% increased spell damage. With this, as long as I am full on Energy Shield, which is not very hard with the amount of recharge that I have on the build and the faster stat that I have, I'm basically always on full Energy Shield, so this will be 40% increased spell damage for a little bit less than 30 spirits because of the efficiency. And yeah, then Withering Presence. Right now my presence radius is kind of small, so I kind of have to be like in melee range of the enemies to constantly wither them. But I'm solventing this with Firestorm a little bit. And what we're doing here is prolonged duration for the wither to last a little bit longer. I think this works. Also, it has quality for more duration of wither. And then Uhtred's Omen. So the version that I have says that +3 level if exactly only one support is modifying them. Ideally, you will have the version that has 2 supports, so you can have Chaos Mastery here, and then you can have +4 levels instead of +3, because every level of Withering Presence decreases the interval at which Wither is applied. So as you can see, it's 1.44, and with this is 1.38. Then Firestorm is basically the way I apply Wither. I'm linking this with Overabundance, and actually I'm going to put this here, Xerox Remain. So every time it hits, it will Wither, because all the fire damage is converted to Chaos. So all the damage that every hit of Incinerate does can contribute to the Wither application. Then doing Overabundance to be able to have 2 Firestorms instead of 1. By default, you can only have 1 Firestorm at a time, it says here. And then we're using Xerox Refrain to echo, so that I can basically cast both Firestorms at the same time as, with only 1 single button press. It just adds to the comfort of the build. Then I'm doing Knockback for like an additional layer of defense. Now let me show you, find some enemies if there are any left. Should be, yeah. Especially useful in like Simulacrum Knockback support, where you might get overwhelmed in spite of temporal chains. It's also very good if you're dealing with like maps where enemies can have like less effective curses on them. And this combined with temp chains means that nothing can like ever get to you. We also have some knockback chance on the tree, which adds to this one very nicely. And the last support is like Magnified Canyon for more coverage, because we don't really care about the damage of Firestorm, although the damage is not like terrible. Now the thing about Firestorm is that it cannot ignite, it cannot freeze and it cannot shock. It doesn't say it here, but if you come here, you will see it in the description. Cannot ignite. And if you look at the infusion, I think it will also have like cannot chill. So the cold one can chill, and the lightning can shock, but the fire cannot ignite for some reason. I don't know what they added that, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, it's just a support skill. And then Despair is our main like damage curse. I'm using Whispers of Doom, so that's why I have like 2 curses. So Despair, a lot of damage that the enemy takes right now with the like weapon swap setup. This is the amount of resistance that I'm shredding with Despair. 116% on normal enemies. It has less effect on rares, and of course even lesser effect on bosses. But it's massive damage multiplier. So I'm doing the most important ground to me is like Curse Ground, probably Hiding Curse, and then Prolonged Duration. And then Curse increases like the shred of the resistance. Curse Ground makes it will be there, and then I have like a very clear indication on the enemy not having the curse. Whereas if I don't have the Curse Ground, I sometimes reapply the curse when I don't need to, because I don't like have vision feedback of the curse being on the enemy, especially on bosses. And then Prolonged Duration, Focus Curse, and Magnified Area. Because of Whispers of Doom, Focus Curse is kind of necessary, although not really, because you're doing Colors Ground, so you can switch this for like more area coverage, or like Overabundance for even more limits. And then Magnified Area for even more coverage, of course. Then I'm not gonna go over every single gear piece, because most of them are like very self-explanatory, and you can see them in the path of building. But the one I'm gonna talk about is the Grip of Kulemak. This ring got introduced this season. It applies those 2 things for the build that I think are very, very nice to have. Also, where's the Fireball support? Something happened here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so Grip of Kulemak inflicts Abyssal Wasting. So one of the banes of the existence of any damage over time build is when you run into an enemy that has tons of regeneration. So Abyssal Wasting is cutting the regeneration of enemies by half, which basically makes it non-existent, because by then your damage can basically get through it. So it's a non-issue after that. Now it has 2 drawbacks. It reduces the presence area of effect. Let me show you what my presence looks like without it. I don't think it's a huge margin, but it's something to consider definitely. So that is what it looks like. It's reaching this edge. Now with this, it's no longer reaching that edge. It's just a small drawback, I think. And the reduced flight radius, I also think it's a non-existent drawback. Now what you get here is 4 possible months, depending on like how you did the boss fight in the Kulemak's invitation. So in this case, what I have here is cooldown recovery for me and allies in my presence, increased spirit dissipation efficiency of skill. I think 6% here is kind of mandatory. Then increasing Ignite magnitude, which is the one of the better multipliers for Ignite, and reduce critical damage bonus, which is not something that I aim to get, but it's a nice bonus to have on this version of the ring. And without this, you can see that I can no longer reserve Siphon Elements. I could if I remove Mysticism, but with this I can reserve Siphon Elements again. Now, because of that, I'm doing Spirit Reservation Efficiency of skills here as well. You can get up to 8% of the helmet. This is why I'm not doing the Atsiri helmet, because you can get the Spirit Reservation Efficiency here and in the body armor, but I haven't crafted the body armor to be able to have it, and I don't want to like risk losing any of this mods, because I think this is very good. Now, this is another piece that I'm going to touch on. It's reduce effect of curses here as the sockets, and then perfect faster start implicit, and tier 1 faster start recharge rate. That combined with faster start on the shield with 2 of these, and then I'm grabbing all of this convalescence, and I think I have another node. Yep, some of it here. So that means that my recharge delay, which is by default 4 seconds, is right now a little bit over 1 second. This combined with the any shield recharge per second that I have, it means that even if I like get interrupted almost immediately after, which shouldn't happen unless like I have a damage over time on myself. That's why I'm using like the Ignite Charm to remove that. But yeah, as long as I don't have that, I should be able to recover all of my energy shield in like 2 seconds, or a little bit over 2 seconds. And then if I get hit, I just have to wait 1 second, and then I have the recharge again. So I just remove myself from like the thick of the battle to recharge the energy shield. It adds to the comfort of the build massively, in my opinion. Now, important choices in the passive tree that I think are very important is the cooldown recovery here for Flameblast. There are like only 2 nearby sources of CDR, which are here, and then I also have a this one, the Heart of the Well, with 18% CDR, with skill effect duration, +1 all elemental resistances, and damage with elements deal damage 4% faster. I think it's a very, very well rendered Heart of the Well for this particular build. Now I'm doing Black Flame, as I already mentioned, and yeah, basically your generic caster stuff, and like the only anomaly is probably this part here. Now, why am I grabbing also like Debuff Aspire 25% faster on you? You may have noticed that with this league, they added the ability to like desecrate your maps, so do desecrated maps. And one of the mods that can roll here is Mark for Death, which makes you take for 50% increased damage after you kill a rare enemy. And that lasts for 10 seconds, but you can see that the amount of rarity that this map has. Mark for Death itself adds 40% item rarity and I think like 10% pack size to maps. So you want to, if possible, to be able to roll that mod. So there are 2 ways you can do that. Is that you can already have insane amount of mitigation and not care about having that buff, or what I did in this case is that because I have that debuff duration, debuffs expire much faster. So instead of being 10 seconds, you'll see how long it will last. And we so that goes to the rare. This is the only one that matches.
A lovely creature.
For the most part, I don't really care everything. I don't really kill everything on these maps. You see that explosion? That is the fiery death that gave the action. And let's carry the spirit towards the rare. Build ground is very annoying on this build since I don't have that much cast speed or movement speed to that much. Okay, so here's the rare. Gonna kill him, and you're gonna see them after the debuff.
Corpse to serve me.
It starts at like 10 seconds, but you can see it's like ticking much faster. So before I even move to the next pack, I already don't have debuff on myself. And here I'll kill the other rare. Then I have that, but it's already gone. So instead of you having to carry the Mark for Death debuff throughout the entire map, you can just have it for a very brief fraction of a second instead. Let's get out of here. So that's why I think this wheel is kind of undervalued. I think it's very good. It adds to the comfort of the build. It also allows you to run the map that says you don't deal damage for 3 seconds every 10 seconds. That buff lasts like 1 second on myself. Now, I'm using these two control metamorphoses to grab Black Flame, Void, this increased area of effect, and the increased energy shield recovery rate, which multiplies the recharge of energy shield, and then just some more recharge rate here. And I'm doing a CI from nothing to save myself a few points here. So I'm saving like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points here. So I think it's very worthwhile. And it's an extra element threshold and extra cooldown recovery, stun recovery with Chaos's extra damage and Wither magnitude. It also applies a Wither stack, or I don't know how many stack it applies, but whenever enemies enter our presence, they already get withered, so it makes them take a little bit damage, or the ramp up damage a little bit faster. Now, the weapon swap, it's your basically run-of-the-mill curse weapon swap setup. In this case, I'm grabbing the Grapifying Curse because 20% ailment duration, it's basically more damage per ignite application for us. So when I apply like the bigger ignite, it will last 20% longer, so it's very good. And just, skill effect duration, curse magnitude, curse duration, some extra bits of area of effect here for the curse, and you may have seen already how much it covers. And as like the standard Lich package is the energy shield bypass here. Grabbing already this element threshold because I'm already there, and I moved here to grab 60% reduced effective curses from these 3 points, and also 40% from the body armor. It means that I can run like temporal chain maps, and those that can be fairly annoying. I'm completely immune to curses, which plays into the other thing that I wanted to do, which is use a self-curse setup. Now, I haven't been able to make it work because I don't have this weapon as my main weapon. But the way I want to make it work is that I'll be casting some spells and then charging the spell slinger here. And after I have it, I will cast these curses, which upon being applied to enemies will be reflected back to me with the Atsiris mirror. You'll see it has the Atsiris allure here, which says that they ignore the curse limits, but they're also reflected back to me, and I have it with Curse Ground. Now the Curse Ground has a limit, but I think as long as I put them on the enemies, I should have them for a
Your order is finished.
decent amount of time. Interesting. They're not being reflected at all. Maybe I have to be in the ground. Doesn't seem to be working because, well, let me remove it. Doing science here. That's what my boss is. Yes, I have 100%. I apply the curse. There you go. So I have 8 seconds of Enfeeble and 8 seconds of Telemetry Readiness. Now, once I have like a Spell Slinger 1. Now, the problem here is that we have like the debuffs expire quite faster. I mean, so something like curses have infinite duration, which would make this setup a lot more comfortable to run, and maybe you can even snapshot it for longer. You will have to like grab this one versus infinite duration. Now in the Ascendancy, what I'm grabbing here is basically doing Soulless Form and Eternal Life because it's too good not to. It's insanely good. And Umbral Well for the ES recharge, and this is the jewel I have in the phylactery. Right? Let me know what you think about this build. If you would like to see more on this character, let me know as well. I'm gonna be doing the path of building export and putting that in the description below. I've seen that a lot of build guides use Mobalytics, but I'm not very familiar on how to create the builds on that side. But if you prefer that method, also let me know in the comments if you would prefer that instead of path of building. Anyways, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.